Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Each episode is about a specific movie, one specific movie to be exact, and we'll of course introduce that movie in a little bit. But first, I would like to invite you, yes you the listener, to listen to the last episode of the podcast if you haven't. The Back to the Future episode. It was the 50th episode of the podcast, so we went all out by discussing Back to the Future in the entire trilogy. It was a lot of fun. But also, if you are a listener and you want to have us review the movie that you want us to review, I said that a little bit weird, but you understand. Send us an email at ff.filmfreakswithaz@gmail.com or comment on the latest episode of Film Freaks with a Z on YouTube, and or just talk in the movie stuff section on my Ferret Nation Discord to have us add it to the list of movies that will go into the fan vote. That's right. Okay, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am Yemmy the Ferret. Who am I here with?
Radio Waffles.
Animation.
And Callus.
Callus, it's not just Callus anymore, huh?
Yeah.
No, can't even say it. It's Callus.
Just
I only
Callus.
said like
Just Callus.
I only said just Callus like for one episode.
Well, we're glad to all be back here. Hope everyone enjoyed that Back to the Future conversation. I know we had a lot of fun discussing it. And yes, there was a little bit of controversy, but hey, what's a Film Freaks episode without a little bit of controversy, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think there's going to be any controversy with this episode because we watched the movie Cloverfield from 2008, which was recommended by me, Yemmy the Ferret. It was directed by Matt Reeves. And the synopsis is, 5 young New Yorkers throw their friend a going-away party the night that a monster the size of a skyscraper descends upon the city. Which, I don't think it was actually as tall as a skyscraper. Whatever. Told from the point of view of their video camera, the film is a document of their attempt to survive the most surreal, horrifying event of their lives. And this stars Matt Reeves as like a radio announcer, Michael Stahl-David, T.J. Miller, Lizzie Chaplin, Jessica Lucas, and Odette Annabelle, just to name the main characters because everyone else is kind of like secondary characters. They're still important, right? But it's just too many to talk about. So I wasn't really sure where to start the conversation on this because this movie does feel like a time capsule for like 2008. You know, you got Nokia everywhere. You got, the old school camera tricks, and it does. And the whole party atmosphere, like it just screams 2008.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It sure
Definitely.
does.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Luckily, the events of this movie didn't actually happen, so it's not that big of a time capsule. But it does feel like you watch this movie and you're transported back in time to like the late 2000s. And I like that aspect of it. It makes it feel real, and I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the fact that it's like a shaky cam kind of thing, it actually felt like it's, it actually draws you in. It's actually immersive. And you feel like you're actually there with them, even though, I don't like a lot of the shakiness of the shaky cam.
I remember Greedy saying he got motion sickness from this last time we watched it.
No, I was just giving out a warning. I don't think I said I got it.
I'm pretty sure you said you got motion sick.
We'll have to review the tapes.
Controversy.
Yeah,
Here's the controversy.
Well, how'd you feel this time? That's all that matters.
I was fine this time. Fine. I like the scene where they first meet the giant monster. They're still in the city, and the military's coming through. That was a pretty good scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really intense action moments that it's filmed from the perspective of a civilian, a bystander. So it's not like we're in the middle. Like, well, they are technically in the middle of the action, but the action's not. It's the movie's not like it's not like about them. So, or it is about them, not about the action that's happening on screen. And unlike a movie like Godzilla from 2015, I feel like this movie shows the monster just enough for the
Yeah.
concept to
Yeah.
work really well.
Yes, agreed. Because the difference here is like this is about the people, like experiencing this horrific event, while Godzilla was just like it wasn't sold as that, and it's like it's Godzilla. You guys love Godzilla. By the way, he's barely in it.
And the funny
I
thing is, I
agree.
think they showed more. I'm sorry, Greedy. I think they showed more of like the monster in this movie than Godzilla from the
Yeah.
2015
Yeah.
movie.
I was about to say something
Yeah.
similar to that. They show it just enough, and then at the end they show like actual like good 5-10 seconds or however long you want to say it was for, and then they don't show it again. That's perfectly okay. It's like okay, you get an idea what the monster is. Daylight, you see it. This is it, and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like I said, the monster was the thing happening, but it wasn't the point. The point is, how horrible and terrifying this is to these people.
Yeah, they really did a good job of conveying that.
Yeah.
Even though like some characters weren't acted as well as others, I felt like you really did feel like you were a part of the group and that you were going through the events with them.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Yeah.
glad that the camera guy was like behind the camera the whole time, because I mean, come on, he has like a very punchable face. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once he grew like a goatee or a beard or whatever he has in like later movies, it's not as punchable. But yeah, T.J. Miller as a baby was very punchable.
Yeah, no, he's a good comedian and stuff.
Yeah, he was recently in that underwater movie, and he still was like the worst part of it. So I don't know how much he's actually improved, but
Yeah.
they sold him as like the dumb guy, right? When he was
Yeah,
hanging
no.
the sign, but it's just so distracting when, and I even wrote this in my review. I think it's the only thing I wrote was him just yelling, "Rob, Rob,
Yeah,
what are we gonna
I
do,
was about
Rob, Rob?" And it
Yeah.
was just the entire movie up until like the very end. And I was just like, oh my god, just shut up for 5 minutes, please.
Yeah.
I think that's what really drags the movie down is just him just yelling the entire time
All of
behind
them.
the camera.
All of them, not just him, just all of them. Yeah, Rob.
Yeah, I had more problems
Especially
with
when
him.
they go in the electronics store and
Yeah.
Rob is like ignoring him, and he's just like Rob, what's that going?
We gotta go, man. We gotta get out. You gotta get out of the
So
electronics
much.
store.
So, I didn't want to. So, like, they talk about, this is like the found footage type things. Like, oh, we found this tape. I think they did a real good job of like, with tapes, especially back in the day. I know you're young and well, Callus probably remembers, but the rest of
Alright.
them,
Yeah,
I know.
I remember.
Yeah.
yeah, when you stopped recording, it like skipped a few frames, and then when you hit record again, it starts up again. So that's why we get that little flashbacks to his perfect day or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But the very beginning when you like it's his perfect day or whatever, you're like, okay, fine. And then when it cuts to his brother on the street, and he's just recording because she's like, here, use this camera to record testimonials. It's like, who would just randomly like, oh, I have a camera, I immediately have to turn this on and just walk around with it forever and while we talk? It seemed a little unnatural. Like, I know it was a good way to introduce these characters, but at the same time, yeah, it felt unnatural.
Yeah, the way I see it is, Rob gave HUD a job, and he was like, I'm now gonna be the camera guy,
Yeah, no,
especially
it makes
because
sense for HUD.
that girl like was like had interest in him recording, so I think that's why he like stuck with it the entire time.
Yeah, no, for HUD it made sense. Like once it switches over to HUD, I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes most sense because he also wants to document what's going on. No, it's just the very beginning when it's just his brother and Lily walking the streets.
Okay.
And
Oh,
they're
that part.
like-
Yeah.
He's like, no, I want you to do like this camera testimony, and he's just like, why would you be recording this?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. It should have just gone straight to the party. They could have figured a better way to kind of introduce us to what's going on, or we just would piece it together as the night goes on, because suddenly Jason would be like, that was the brother's name, would be like, hey, HUD, do this for me.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like that whole first scene, introduction scene, was kind of unnecessary. I kind of like literally forgot about it until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah. That was the one, like I said, the one real bad scene, or the scene, I guess, that stood out the most to me is just unnatural. Like, a lot of it, there's so many unnatural parts where it's like, okay, at this point, he definitely would have put the camera down. But
Yeah.
But that scene definitely just felt a little forced.
Yeah.
Thank goodness the monster didn't eat the camera at the end, because
Yeah,
then
right.
what would he have, right?
No, it ate half of HUD and was like, ugh, this is gross. I don't want the rest.
This tastes pretty stupid.
I
I'm out.
thought this guy was going to be good because he's so punchable, but he's not.
I did like how they had the camera recording while it was inside the monster's mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed that. I
Oh, I
thought that
did.
was,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought that was
that's
kind
good.
of a nice touch there.
I guess spoilers jumping to the end there.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
Yeah,
you should
I already
understand how this
referenced the end,
podcast
so.
works by now.
we jump
I
all
already
over the
referenced
place.
it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
That was quite the durable camera.
Yeah.
Yemmy had it.
Falling that far too. Yeah.
That was what,
And
like,
yeah, there's
I
actually
felt-
multiple scenes like that.
Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
times where I'm like, the lens should be cracked by now, at the very least. Like, sure, it could still be running, but this lens has got to be cracked. Like, there should just be a crack on there.
Yeah.
I guess it's they since the tape wouldn't record. Well, no, the tape would record the cracks.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it probably would have helped with some more immersion thrown in there.
Yeah, especially at the very end when like that's the main one where he's eating HUD and drops it from a height of like 100 feet or something, and it's like no damage to the camera.
Yeah. Well,
Oh.
mentioning the height, I don't. I mean, that monster wasn't as big as like a skyscraper per se. I mean, maybe a smaller scale one, but
In
from-
any other city, he'd be taller than a skyscraper. Okay, not any other city, but in a lot of other cities.
In the city, and maybe they just kind of oofed on it. Like he looked, taller than the buildings, especially in the beginning. But I think what Yemi's referencing is the ending where we see the monster, and he didn't look that tall. Maybe I don't know. Could
no,
be
I
just camera
agree.
work.
I agree. I think they kind of lost the scale of the monster throughout the movie, because it goes from a towering frightening monster, and then you see it from like above or from a specific angle, and it just doesn't look as big.
Well, it's
Here's
because
my
like some of
thought.
those like higher angles like made him seem short, but he is like 10, 20 stories high.
Yeah, the
Here's
problem
my
I have
theory.
is that you have the buildings around it to give reference,
Yeah.
and it's
So Yemi, I have a theory for this.
okay. All right.
So as he drops off those little mites or whatever they are, they're actually part of him, and so he's
Yeah.
losing mass as they drop, and so that's why
Oh.
he's getting smaller throughout the movie. But eventually, those little things will come back and morph back into the tall one.
Interesting.
Or maybe he's getting shot at and he's losing limbs. No.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. They didn't show any structural damage to the monster throughout the whole movie, so
Yeah, that's true.
I thought
Also,
I remember
he's-
like a recording at the end saying like the nuke didn't work either.
Yeah, they said that. But also, like, he has like very long limbs, so technically he could like extend or stand up straight and be a lot much taller.
Yeah.
yeah, I did notice that he's got like these frog type long limbs.
Yeah. Oh, so the other thing, going back to the end, when HUD dies and the camera's lying there, like 10 seconds later, Rob and Beth pick up the camera. It's like, the creature still be there? It's only been like 15 seconds. Why
Oh,
do
like you
feel-
said, he ate the stupid guy, and he's like, "My job here is done."
I'm out.
Yeah,
See ya.
I guess. Yeah, it just always seemed a little weird to me. It's like, shouldn't the monster still be nearby? Like, why do you feel safe running to get the camera?
Yeah, and the other thing is like his friend is like half eaten and dead on the floor. Like, what motivation did he have at the moment to pick up the camera? Also, and like,
Well, I
Go
think 'cause
somewhere
at that
else.
point he knew they were gonna die, so he wanted to record that little testimonial at the end. Like I'm guessing, but like I mean, that would be the last thing on my mind. I would be thinking,
Yeah.
huh? You know what? I gotta record this.
It's all for the documentary.
Yeah, it's lucky that the camera didn't get completely destroyed, or that wouldn't have mattered at all.
Yeah, and I do like the little homage to at the end there, Beth doing the Blair Witch "I'm so scared" into the camera.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not dripping from her nose.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Blair Witch, you should because it's like the original found footage movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I got mixed up last time. And even though it is, Blair Witch is like the first like found footage movie, I think that Cloverfield did like push it into the stratosphere because after this movie came out, I mean, you had movies like Paranormal Activity, and there was that superhero one that I don't remember the name of, and they just started to come out. No, Hancock is not it. It's it's the one with like the.
Oh no, I'm thinking of a different
has
one. Yeah,
Dane
I know what
DeHaan
you
in
mean.
it, and like the kids get the superpowers, and there's a lot of movies where the found footage doesn't work. And you know, you look at a movie like that one that we just talked, referenced with the superheroes, and that movie seemed very forced with the found footage theme. Where as a movie like this, a movie like Blair Witch, the original Blair Witch, and even the first Paranormal Activity, it feels natural, it feels real enough, and it makes it a lot more believable, especially in the case of like the Blair Witch, because that is a pretty visceral experience.
Well, and Blair Witch, when they advertised it, or like, there were no credits or anything at the end. Like, they didn't advertise it like, oh, it's a found footage movie. This was like, this is actual found footage, and so it freaked everybody out.
Yeah.
Later, I think they went back and added credits and stuff once they finally went, it's a fake. It's fake.
Yeah.
This isn't real. Here are the credits.
Yeah, I am kind of a fan of this genre, but like I said, it kind of became oversaturated, and then it died out after like the 2010s came around. I think that people stopped.
Well, we're still getting random normal activity movies. Like, I think there's a new one coming out next year.
I don't even know.
I don't know. Like, I just saw an ad on it, I think, on YouTube.
Last decent one, and it might not even be like a found footage, is either Followed or Unfollowed. It was about that.
It Follows.
Like, horror. No.
Follows.
About Skype and like.
Oh, you're talking about Unfriended.
Unfriended, yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those ones I put in the shit tier. There is a movie called Searching that I want to see that is like a similar thing where the guy's using the laptop to find his daughter.
I've seen Searching, yes.
I haven't seen that one yet.
That one was decent. Yeah.
But yeah, Unfriended and the Dark Web one, those ones are like laughable like movies.
I've never seen the Dark Web one.
Guys, this is Dark Web. Whoa.
Whoa.
But going back to the movie, one thing that really stands out is the quality of the set pieces they have, and then also because it's all shot at night, a lot of the CG stuff for the buildings looks really, really good.
Yeah, the monster is aged a bit. Like, it doesn't look great.
Well, especially during the daytime. The daytime,
yeah.
The monster looks like a PS2 game almost. But during night, I mean, because at night you can cover things up a lot better. Yeah. And actually, it still seems pretty believable to me at night.
I think I was just about to say that the little mites or things or whatever, they did really good on those. And then obviously, I think they had some puppets of those too, which helped.
Yeah, I think like the fact that the found footage quality is like much lower. They were able to hide the CGI much better. It was only until like the very end when like they fully showed the monster that I was like, okay, yeah, that looks like bad CGI.
Yeah.
But for most of the movie, it does look pretty good.
And I was Go ahead, Greedy. Go ahead.
I think filming most of this at night was another, I guess not a movie trick, but it was much better because like you walk around the corner and there are the little minion things, and you're just like, oh god,
banana.
Banana.
Oh, no, not those minions, please, no.
Even worse.
Please, I'll take the exploding bite bug over
But if
that.
it was like shot during the day, I think we would be a little more critical.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably.
But I was really impressed by like the sets they had, because I mean those weren't like small, because for some reason I remembered it all being like in buildings and stuff, and it's like easier to do that, but no, I mean they actually built like that whole set with the building being toppled into the other one, and with the military going by, they actually had like a full street to work with, and like when the head of the Statue of Liberty comes crashing in, I mean that's all a set piece there too. It's actually quite impressive.
That looked kind of like CGI to me.
Well,
when it was falling, it was CGI.
Yeah, the head coming in was CG, but the smashed cars and the building being kind of rubble.
Oh yeah.
That was all on set, and that's actually really impressive.
I mean, that's not too surprising if you've ever been to the back lot of Universal Studios.
Yeah, but you have to remember the budget of this movie. This is more of an indie.
What was the budget?
Let me look it up real quick.
2008, so probably not much.
Oh, they had quite a good amount of money. Actually, I'm wrong about that. They had 25 million to spend on this, so maybe it's not as indie as I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm saying it was produced
mean-
by J.J. Abrams, so
Yeah, still kind of low, considering the skill of the movie.
And
Yeah, I
it
guess.
earned 172 million worldwide. So,
yeah, it definitely
Nice.
made its money back.
well, now we know where the budget went to, like the really good set pieces and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and the CGI is good until later on in the movie, So, yeah,
Well, 2008, it was good.
yeah. Well, it's still good by today's standard, I would think.
Well, yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not amazing, but 2008, that was really good CGI. Now you look at it and go, okay, it's a little dated. It looks like 2008 CGI.
But yeah, like Amy mentioned, one of my favorite scenes was like that rooftop scene when they're like going through the buildings. It kind of gave me a sense of vertigo, and something about that scene I really like, even though there's like not really much going on. It actually it got me, like really tense when I first saw it. I think I saw it in theaters, and yeah, it's like a very memorable scene for me.
Yeah, the scene where they take Beth off the ray bar as well is another scene that I always remember, even though you don't see much of it. But like the way it's framed, like
Yeah.
the camera, kind of because they're on a slant, the camera kind of falls into this rock and like frames it perfectly, where you see her legs freaking out as they pull her off. I will say
Yeah,
though,
that
for
was
having
intense.
a shoulder wound that bad, she recovers pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Like 3 scenes later, she's just like, whatevs, it's no big deal.
yeah. It almost looked like in the middle of them going across the the rooftops again. That all of a sudden in the middle, she's like, "All right, I'm gonna start moving faster now. I don't care about this wound anymore."
I mean, part of you probably would, like adrenaline would kick in and stuff,
Yeah.
and you probably wouldn't care. You'd be like, okay, no, I will worry about this once we get to safety.
Yeah.
And obviously that doesn't work out for any of them. Well, besides
Well,
Lily, I guess
yeah.
Lily gets to safety.
Yeah, Lily is the
Like,
only one
maybe.
that we see. Actually, we don't see, we don't actually see her death. So
Yeah.
she might have survived out of there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they could do
true.
a sequel with Lily.
Maybe
There
they
you
were
go.
planning that, but it probably never happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, speaking of planning a sequel, did any of you like stay for like the very end of the credits?
I thought I remembered something after the credits, so I kind of skipped around, tried to get to the end, and I couldn't find anything.
There was, yeah, like at the very end, like after the music stops and like the credits are almost done rolling, you hear some static and like a voice whispering like, oh, I forgot exactly what it was, but it's like help us or something like that. Someone definitely says something at the very end.
I didn't notice that because I know, like I said, I remember the radio saying the nuke didn't kill it. So if they're still alive, they're going to be dead soon of radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have not been a nuke.
No, they talked
They
about
just-
being. They talked about dropping a nuke. Like the
They said
Hammer
nuke.
down.
Okay,
Yeah,
Hammer down is code for nuking,
Yeah.
I see.
because they tried the carpet bomb with the big bomber that was
Yeah,
in the
and
sky.
that almost worked. It almost worked.
That was the big fake out at the end.
Yeah, it worked. We got it. We got it. And then he suddenly just like helicopter.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. How did they survive the helicopter crash?
Yeah, that's one of the more unrealistic things. Like even more unrealistic than the camera falling from the monster's mouth and not
Yeah.
breaking. Because helicopter crashes, I think, have like a. I mean, you gotta be super lucky, and for 3 people to get out of that alive without like.
Yeah, I feel like the movie, like that should have just killed them all there, and then like the camera is still like cracked and just sitting there, and then you like hear the nuke siren, drop the nuke, and then you get the thing on the radio because they're actually in a military vehicle, so the radio call would go to there,
Yeah.
assuming it survived, and then you'd hear it didn't work, it didn't work,
Yeah.
and it also makes sense why they would find the camera. Like,
I
why would they look under a bridge?
my theory was that the bridge collapse saved the camera from being destroyed by whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
but
protected
like,
it, yeah.
why would they think to remove the rubble and everything?
And my theory is that eventually down the road they beat the monster, and they were cleaning up the mess of New York.
Gotcha.
And the government got a hold of the footage to kind of understand exactly what happened in New York, that night.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good find, like the entire
Yeah,
account of like
gold mine
everything.
right there.
Yeah.
Right.
I have
So-
secrets.
Everyone saw at the end, though, right? The thing crash into the ocean.
Wait, what?
So the final shot, it goes back to the best day, and it shows him on the Ferris wheel, while it's looking at the ocean, like on not Ferris wheel, the
No, they're on a Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheel, yeah,
Yeah.
Ferris wheel. You see, they're looking out at the ocean. You see something crash into the ocean.
Really?
Yeah.
I
And-
completely missed that.
So that's that's supposedly the monster's egg or something. And I was wondering if the Paradox movie, Cloverfield Paradox, it talks, they're on like a space station or something, and I was wondering if maybe they created the monster and then it crashed into the ocean. If it explained that at all.
Do you want me to
Yemmy?
spoil that, or?
I don't care. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the end of Cloverfield Paradox is this. There's like one scientist or space astronaut left, and they put the they make the spaceship explode, and what that does is it releases this monster, and it also brings the space station back to the reality of Earth, because for a while, like they're not in the same reality as where they were. So for a split second, the space station explodes, and because of the explosion, the egg gets launched out, or the monster gets launched out, but the spaceship still is stuck in an alternate reality at the end of the movie.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah. 'Cause,
It's not that interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, you feel like it's got to be like an egg or something, because it's not nearly as big as the monster was, and this took place, a few weeks before. So I figured like in the few weeks it got bigger and bigger, and then came to land. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would think too. I don't remember it clearly enough, because by that point in the movie, I was just like, please be over. But yeah, that's the main gist of it, is like the space station explodes, and I'm pretty sure like the monster just gets ejected out from and goes back into reality. So
Gotcha. I figured it had to end with that or something, because I'm like, I know it's a prequel. It's got to explain this thing crashing into the ocean.
But it's stupid, because the entire movie doesn't even, like, it's just like 12 Cloverfield Lane. The entire movie is not actually about a prequel to being, this monster movie. It's literally just about these astronauts bumbling around trying to figure out what's going on. And then at the end, it's like, oh, there's the monster, and there he goes. Bye-bye. Like that's just the disappointing thing about the prequels and sequel, I guess, to this movie, is like
they tacked on the prequel parts.
Right, and I understand it more with like 12 Cloverfield Lane, because that was a completely different movie that they added on the Cloverfield stuff at the end of it, and that causes it to be like a disjointed mess at the end. But
It's just called 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, and Cloverfield Paradox is like written to be a prequel, and it hardly has anything to do with Cloverfield. It's
The last 10 minutes, they're like,
Yeah.
aha, and this is how it ties in.
So I don't know. I just, because I enjoy this movie enough, but it's not worth it to go watch. I mean, it is worth it to watch the Cloverfield Lane movie, I think, but it's not. It's
I thought that was a
definitely
good
not
movie.
worth it to go watch the Paradox.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
would
sorry, I
recommend
know
watching.
you wanted to
Sorry.
avoid talking about
Yeah.
the prequels and sequels, but I got you on it anyways.
Yeah, you know me, when I'm hot about a subject, I'll talk about it. Don't worry.
So, what were some of your favorite scenes from Cloverfield? I already talked about like the rooftop scene and how that's probably one of my favorites. What do you guys like?
I found the entire scene where they're on the the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
I found that scene to be very intense, because it's like right at the beginning, you're not sure what's going to happen. I already knew that the brother was going to die there, but it's still like a really like it's kind of like it's not like a jump scare, but it's a really sudden moment in the movie where he's just like he's there and he's calling out to his friends, and all of a sudden the hand just comes and smashes the bridge. I thought that was like it looked like a tentacle. I think
I think it was its tail.
Yeah.
But I like, so I have 2 points here. I like first off the way all the actors like react to their friends dying. I think they
Gruesome.
do a decent job of that. At least some of them do.
Yeah, some of
Um,
them.
but going back to the bridge, the main thing is like, oh, we have to take like you see him in the streets like we should go to the Brooklyn Bridge, and they point to the Brooklyn Bridge, and it's towards the monster. I'm like, I would pick a different bridge personally. There's not just one bridge coming into the Manhattan area or island, right?
Well, it could be like very far away.
I know, I get that, but it would take going very far away to a different bridge than, hey, let's go to the bridge towards the monster.
Well, I mean, that was the evacuation route too. I mean, that's where
So they're
everyone was
trying to
going.
leave.
So I guess it does make a little sense to get caught up in all that.
Yeah.
I just liked all the chaos that was on that bridge. Like it felt
Yeah.
like out of all the scenes, like that felt the most real out of all of them. Just people scrambling to get across,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That was a very good scene.
and obviously there's the classic scene of the monster carrying the Statue of Liberty's head a few blocks to throw it around downtown. You know, it's still a good scene. I do like how that, you know, because that's like the beginning of the chaos starts right there.
Yeah.
You know, the head pops in.
I like the subway scene. Like on one hand, I like it, but on the other hand, like, how stupid are you?
Looks like they're running away from something. Let's stand here.
Yeah, let's just stand here and look at. But like when she gets bit and they get out and then they're in that like little trauma center or whatever. I like that scene. That scene felt very chaotic and real as well as the bridge scene. And then they take it off behind the tarp and she explodes.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was. I like how they set that out. That was like, I thought that was very well done.
Yeah, yeah, because you see that one guy beforehand. It's like, oh, we've got another bite, and his like just stomach is burst. It's like one. I want to know what like does it produce more monsters like or like what? What's
We don't
happening?
know.
How did they
yeah, it's
explode?
a mystery.
It is. And on one hand, I like that it's a mystery. I
Yeah.
like that we don't know, like, because they wouldn't know. These just civilians wouldn't get that information.
Well, hold on. We see someone also like exploding in 10 Cloverfield Lane also. I
Eh.
mean, from the same symptoms supposedly, right?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Spoilers. That's the good one. That's the one I need to see.
What about you, Greedy? What's your favorite scene from the movie?
I already mentioned the military, even though it's so quick, wasn't long.
yeah,
I did
yeah.
like the bridge scene. That was a pretty good one. I also like the scenes where they're like trying to like navigate their way through, the city, and then they'll turn around the corner and there'll be those little monsters, and they're like fighting them off. The scene where the girl's kind of puking, I think, right? And that was kind of like like a cool kind of scene. Probably not to Tay though. Tay was probably like screaming.
Yeah.
You know, that actually reminds me. I really like that scene where he's just looking at the TV and it's showing like the little insect things, little minions
Attacking the
attacking.
military
I
guys,
think
yeah.
that was actually pretty cool. Well, a pretty good scene too.
Yeah.
Because
There's a lot of good scenes in
because
this
that makes
movie.
it so that the characters don't have to be there, but also they are kind of like right there too, and I really like that too because he's looking at the TV and it shows the monster in this part of the city,
Like,
and then he
like,
goes
like,
outside
blocks
and
away.
there it is, right there. I thought that was a pretty cool reveal too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really
there's a
like.
lot of good things.
Yeah, I really like that one scene also where when they're like the guy decides to go after his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, whatever she was, and like they're just walking
Rob.
along the street, and then and then all of a sudden you see a missile like go between them, and then this monster shows up, and like just complete chaos erupts all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the scene that I was talking about where military comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
And
like
they're all just kind of like laying under the cars, whatever. Even though that's probably not the spot where I want to. I mean, I know they're kind of behind it, but still, I don't think I would want to be behind a car.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything else to say about Cloverfield?
No, I think I'm good.
yeah. I guess we're good.
All right. Well, I'll start us off, of course, with the final rating and review. I think that it's a good time capsule movie. It's not the best thing ever, obviously. It's it definitely doesn't have the best acting in it, and there's some parts where it doesn't seem as genuine. But I do like there's a good setup to the movie. It starts you off with the party and kind of just getting to know the characters, and then it goes into the more crazy stuff. And once the monster attack starts, the movie really kicks off from there. And there's a lot of really clean and good looking scenes. There's a lot of good set pieces, and the CGI is pretty good all the way up until the end where they actually show the monster. And then also, it's just so annoying. I just hear the guy's voice in my head constantly just saying, "Rob, hey Rob, we got to get out of here, man." And that just,
Hey, Rob.
yeah, it just kind of like pulls down the movie a lot for me because of just how annoying he was. Like, not a lot, but it pulls it down a good amount. But in the end, I think that it's still a good watch. And I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And you spoke of time capsules, and this kind of goes along the same route as 2012. Things that could happen, and it's in that genre of like scaring the American people. It was like, oh yeah, this could happen in the future, and people bought into it. They're like, oh my god, aliens are gonna attack, or oh my god, the Earth is gonna flood. Anyways, that's a different conversation. Rob did get really annoying, especially in the beginning.
HUD, not Rob.
What's that?
HUD.
HUD?
Rob was the guy he was calling out to.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm
Camera
saying Rob. Yeah, okay, yeah. The guy yelling Rob was kind of annoying, and I just, as Yemmy said, it's like stuck in my brain, and it's just like even his Rob's acting, it was just like say something, instead of just kind of walking to the electronics store, or he's like, oh, I'm gonna go my own way. Okay, why? But that's not gonna bring the movie down too much for me. I'm also gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right. For me, like I said, there's some of the things I pointed out earlier, like that just seemed a little unnatural, and I'll forgive those just because it is a movie, and they're just setting it up. So if they had, they didn't go the Blair Witch route and say, well, this is legit found footage, because you immediately would be like, well, this is unnatural. No, it's not. But as a movie, it worked. You had to, tell introduce these characters and all that, and it works for the movie. Yes, there was some annoying acting. HUD, there's so many cringe moments with HUD, like not just his calling Rob, but like when he's hitting on Marlene at the very beginning and in the middle, and just, oh my gosh, you just want to punch him so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of sold him as that character, so like it was forgivable. Overall, I really enjoyed the movie. Like I said, some of the CGI didn't quite hold, especially in the end, as we've talked about, and that's where it starts to get really, really unbelievable. But overall, like I said, I still enjoy this movie. I definitely would watch it again. So I'll give it 4 out of 5.
So, yeah, like Tay said, that guy was really annoying, but that is his character, so I didn't really get too aggravated with his annoyance. Just because he is just playing the part that that they made him out to be. And the other thing that I didn't really like too much is like the overly shakiness sometimes. It just kind of got me all kind of distorted. But maybe that was the purpose of them shaking it as much as they did in the part that they did. They want people to be kind of like disoriented and be kind of immersed in the chaos, which I think this movie does a really good job of just like kind of like drawing you into the whole experience and like making you feel like you're going through everything that's going on with all these characters. And the movie does a very good job of doing that. There's so many good scenes here. The moment to moment things that happen just keeps you on the edge of the seat. And for me, like when the movie was over, it was like, wow, that it's already over that fast. I mean, yeah, so the movie's a little bit on the shorter side, but it still felt like it was, went by really quick, just for me enjoying it. So yeah, I would have to give it also a 4.4 out of 5.
A 4.4?
Yes, no, that's a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
4.0.
Thought I heard that right. I was like, wait, what?
Well, all right. It sounds
Alright,
like we're all
cool.
pretty close together on this one. That hasn't happened in a while.
I'm talking about we were all pretty close with Back to the Future.
That's true.
Besides-
That's true. You're right. You're right.
Well, that's just Back to the Future, so.
Yeah.
All right.
right.
Well,
So,
Greedy Waffles,
it's
what do you got
my
for us?
turn.
Yes.
So
Rob.
I'm actually picking a movie from 2009, so a year later. So the movie I'm picking is called Carriers. And the reason I kind of want to watch this is because it's related to the times now. So what is Carriers about? As a lethal virus spreads globally, 4 friends seek a refugee plague from heaven. Wait, what? Seek a
Refuge?
reputed plague-free heaven. That was weirdly worded. But while avoiding the infected, the travelers turn on one another. That's a little bit of a spoiler there at the end, I guess. So the top cast is Chris Pine, Piper Perabo, Lou Taylor Pucci, and Emily Van Camp, and a bunch of other people. So,
I'm a big fan of Emily Van.
yep, movie about a plague. So,
You didn't want to pick the Minions movie?
no.
I have never heard of this, so that'll be
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
never heard
so
of it either.
I forget where and how I heard about it. I think I was watching TikTok and it was like, oh, this movie predicted the coronavirus, and I was just like, I should recommend that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right.
It has 60% viewing or 60% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So oh boy.
And I was like,
Okay.
it sounds like since no one's heard of it, it probably didn't do excellent. So it
Yeah,
will be
probably
an
not.
interesting conversation for sure.
And it is on Amazon. So and its directors and writers are David Pastor and Alex Pastor.
That name sounds familiar.
So yep.
All right, Carriers.
I
And
don't
it's
know, I don't
on
know how they would
shorter-
sound familiar because they only have 4 movies to each of their names.
And it's also a shorter movie. It's only an hour and 24 minutes.
Damn, they just
wow.
sneaked by on that one, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you don't want to be spoiled or if you want to join the conversation for Carriers from 2009, make sure you watch that before the next episode premieres in 2 weeks. That's right, 2 weeks. So yeah, if you want to get your movie on the fan vote, just remember to do all the things I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. We always love getting new recommendations. And yes, this next fan vote will actually be a fan vote, and that always happens. It's attached to Tay's episode. So just go to the promotional link on my Twitter, and the poll will be below that in the replies. All right, y'all. Is there anything else you want to say before we skedaddle?
Nope.
No.
Good night and good luck.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Rob!
All right.
Rob.
I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with
Rob. Greedy
Rob.
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 Tay.
Am I next? Callus. Rob.
Just Robin.
Just Rob. Yep.
Just Rob.
And we are Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Rob.
Fuck you, Rob.